A shocking ordeal awaits Charity Dingle in next week's episodes as she becomes the target of a horrifying attack. The dramatic storyline unfolds as Todd's sinister behaviour reaches an alarming new low. Facing a deeply distressing experience, Charity is left struggling with the emotional consequences of what happens. According to a source close to the show, the incident has a devastating impact on Charity. While the precise details of the assault remain under wraps, the attack occurs shortly after Todd reassures her that the truth about the baby will remain hidden. Despite appearing supportive, Todd is merely maintaining a deceptive front. Before long, Charity finds herself subjected to a cruel act that leaves her deeply shaken and emotionally scarred. The storyline begins with Charity desperately attempting to gather enough money to satisfy Todd's demands. Todd has been threatening to reveal the secret surrounding Leyla during Sarah Sugden's 21st birthday celebrations. Overwhelmed by guilt and pressure, Charity turns to alcohol for comfort. Her emotions soon boil over, leading to a heated confrontation with Todd in the village. What consequences will follow when Charity publicly challenges Todd? Sources reveal that Charity is heavily intoxicated during the encounter. In a reckless moment, she even encourages Todd to expose the secret, highlighting just how fragile her emotional state has become. At first, Todd appears to retreat and abandons the threat, seemingly unwilling to ruin Sarah's special day. However, appearances are misleading, as Todd's true nature soon becomes evident through her later actions. During their confrontation, Todd attempts to justify the blackmail by using her own warped reasoning. She also admits that she takes pleasure in watching Charity's personal life unravel. Todd then hints that the secret will remain protected, giving the impression that their conflict has come to an end. Yet the apparent peace proves to be nothing more than a deception, as her malicious behaviour resurfaces when Charity becomes the victim of a violent incident. An insider describes Todd as an exceptionally cruel individual whose actions go far beyond anything seen before. While viewers have already witnessed her ruthless side, the latest events push her behaviour to a disturbing new level. The aftermath of the attack is expected to affect Charity for a long time, raising hopes that Todd's wrongdoing will finally be uncovered before she inflicts further harm on others. As the fallout continues, questions remain over whether Charity will open up to those closest to her about the traumatic experience. Meanwhile, viewers are left wondering if Todd will finally face justice for her actions or continue posing a threat to everyone around her. Kyle Winchester has been exposed as the person responsible for the latest blaze in Emmerdale, following dramatic scenes released early on ITVX. Out of all the Dingles, Kyle seemed one of the least likely candidates to target Emmerdale Farm. However, recent events have pushed him towards a reckless act of revenge. Like his father Cain, who has frequently found himself on the wrong side of the law, Kyle has inherited a stubborn streak. During today's episode, it became clear that his actions were motivated by frustration and resentment linked to his dad. The family has recently endured major upheaval after losing both their home and business. Moira eventually gave in to pressure from Joe Tate and sold her share of the farm, paving the way for Robert Sugden and Aaron Dingle to move in as tenant farmers. Since then, life at Wishingwell Cottage has become increasingly difficult. With 7 people sharing the same house, and Cain recovering from surgery while attempting to launch a new farming enterprise, he has struggled to devote much attention to his children. Kyle's anger intensified when Cain refused to repair his treasured Volkswagen Golf. Upset and frustrated, he skipped school and hid inside one of the farm buildings. A caravan had arrived at a nearby scrapyard, and Cain believed it would provide Cammy with a suitable place to live. Deeply affected by those memories, Graham urged Kyle to admit what he had done. He warned that the teenager could not continue making reckless decisions without facing the consequences. Graham made it clear that if Kyle failed to tell Cain and Moira the truth himself, he would step in and reveal everything. The question now is whether Kyle will confess before someone else exposes his secret. Cain's recent actions could end up causing lasting damage in Emmerdale, as the truth behind a series of shocking incidents finally comes to light. While Robert Sugden and Aaron Dingle have been tirelessly trying to uncover who was responsible, their investigation repeatedly pointed them in the wrong direction. One surprising misunderstanding involved Ross Barton and Sam Dingle, whose secretive behaviour had nothing to do with the fires. Instead, Ross had simply been teaching Sam some dance moves behind closed doors. Meanwhile, Kev Townsend was ruled out as a suspect after details emerged about his latest spell behind bars. Cami Hadik also attracted suspicion due to his uneasy reactions whenever the barn blazes were discussed, but his behaviour was actually linked to the fact that he had been secretly staying in one of the buildings. The real culprit, however, turns out to be Kyle, whose dangerous fascination with fire is far from over. After Kane declines an opportunity to spend quality time with his son, Kyle begins questioning whether his father even enjoys being around him. His fears grow stronger when he overhears Kane complaining to Cami about his school absences and his obsession with repairing his car. Not long afterwards, a lighter slips from Kyle's bag, leaving him wrestling with the temptation to use it once again. Later, Graham Foster notices smoke rising in the distance and rushes towards the source. There he discovers Kyle standing nearby as his Volkswagen Golf burns. When Robert unexpectedly appears nearby, Kyle avoids being exposed by hiding inside Graham's vehicle. In a later conversation, Kyle finally reveals more about what drove him to act the way he did. Graham listens carefully and offers support, but also insists that Kyle must tell Kane and Moira the truth about his actions. Reflecting on Graham's decision to help the troubled teenager, Andrew Scarborough explained that Graham recognizes a sense of vulnerability in Kyle because he sees someone who has lost direction in life. The actor pointed out that Graham's tragic history allows him to understand people who are struggling. Having experienced loss, pain, and unhealthy coping mechanisms himself, he views Kyle as a young person who still has time to turn things around. He suggested that Graham is naturally compassionate and could have been an excellent mentor under different circumstances. Despite his own mistakes, Graham wants to offer Kyle the guidance he never had, while also maintaining a deep respect for Kane. As Graham becomes increasingly determined to steer Kyle onto a better path, he even considers involving him in the cadets as a positive influence. If Kane eventually learns how much his distance has affected Kyle, he may be left carrying a heavy sense of guilt. Discussing Graham's emotional motivations further, Andrew explained that the character continues to grieve the family life he once dreamed of but never achieved. According to the actor, Graham's disciplined appearance reflects his attempts to manage the emotional scars left by his past. His strict routines and meticulous lifestyle serve as a way of coping with the trauma he continues to carry. Andrew also noted that Graham's desire to return to the Tate family stems partly from a longing for belonging and connection. Despite their flaws and dysfunction, he sees them as a family unit and feels drawn back into their orbit. Ultimately, Graham is someone who instinctively wants to help others, particularly vulnerable people. His close bond with Leo demonstrated that side of his personality, and his efforts to support Kyle are driven by the same deep desire for family, purpose, and redemption. Emmerdale is broadcast on ITV1 every weekday at 8 p.m. Viewers can also watch new episodes from 7 a.m. via ITVX and YouTube.